Please note that the following video will contain manga spoilers of Attack on Titan.
お前たちは世界を救おうとした。そうなんだろう。
うるさい。どうしてお前らは俺を死なせてくれないんだ。
A question that's been haunting the entire Attack on Titan fandom after its author Hajime Isayama released the 100th chapter was, why did Eren change? In the 100th chapter, just as Willy Tybur declares war on Paradis, Eren transforms and attacks the entire crowd assembled, killing many bystanders and even children. He brutally kills the Warhammer Titan using the Jaw Titan and drinks her blood to get the power. He appears nonchalant when Mikasa questions him about what he's done, and when Sasha's killed by Gabi, he just laughs and ignores the fact that one of his comrades died because of his actions. The reason why many fans of Attack on Titan questioned these actions were because these were in complete opposite to what Eren had done in the past. In the first 5 arcs of the story, he fought for humanity, he fought for freedom, he fought against the monsters he called Titans. But suddenly, he was the monster in this story. Now, with this change, fans of the series proposed 3 theories. 1. Eren was being influenced by someone, possibly Zeke. This theory was first proposed when we learned that Zeke was actually working with Eren. Many believe that the holder of the Beast Titan was influencing Eren in some way. 2. Eren was planning a Zero Requiem. Now, for those who don't know, the Zero Requiem is a term used in the anime culture where a character pretends to become the villain in order to unite 2 parties and make them fight against him. This was based on Lelouch's own Zero Requiem plan in Code Geass. In the case of Attack on Titan, many assumed that Eren was just putting on a mask in order to become the main antagonist, and thus unite Marley and Paradis in order to fight him. Even though the Levi squad had joined forces with Annie, Reiner, and others in the recent chapters, we believe that this wasn't Eren's plan. If this was his plan, why did he have to kill so many people at once? Why such brutal violence to accomplish that? Why did he even sacrifice Sasha for it? As these questions popped out, many fans moved away from this theory as well. And 3. The third theory was that Eren was actually the villain of the story. He had changed, but not in a good way. The world around him has influenced him in a negative way, thus making him the person he is now. So what do I think happened to Eren? I believe that Eren Yeager did change, but not in such a drastic amount, and it was foreshadowed by the entire time. That's right, what I believe is that this is a part of Eren's character arc, and not a drastic change, and now I'll explain why. In every story we have what we call character archetypes. These can be also called labels that we paste on characters as soon as we see them. We have the hero of the story, the main female character, the best friend, the supporting characters, the love interest, and also, last but not least, the antagonists. Now, as we moved through the first season of Attack on Titan, we dropped characters into these tropes by the actions of the characters. Eren became the protagonist and the hero of the story, Mikasa became the main female character, in some cases his love interest. Armin became his best friend, and we have Levi, Erwin, Hanji, and other squad members as supporting characters. And not to ignore, of course, that we had Annie, aka the female Titan, as the main antagonist of the second arc. Now, this was relatively easy since each character managed to perfectly fit into a character trope without any issue. Just as we mentioned in our previous Attack on Titan morality video, when Reiner and Berthold betrayed Eren, or when we realized the plans of Rod Reese, we dropped each of them into the antagonist archetype. And in each of these cases, the other characters stayed faithful to their character archetypes. But what happens when they don't? This was what happened in the 100th chapter of the manga. Eren went from the hero of the story to the villain of the story. And this reversal of tropes was done by a negative character arc. So what is a negative character arc? This is something that happens less for protagonists in anime, so this is harder to zone in on, but this can be seen more often in many classical films and works outside of the medium. A negative character arc depicts the downfall of the character in opposite to a normal character arc. In a normal character arc, the protagonist starts out with various flaws and errors, and through the journey gradually learns about his mistakes and corrects them. So in the end, he's gotten rid of either all or most of his flaws and has changed over time. For example, in the anime series Naruto, there's a huge change in Naruto from the first episode of the series and Naruto in the last episode of the Shippuden series. Over the time, he's corrected his flaws, learned to accept and understand others, and even use his brain while fighting his battles. Similar to Naruto, if we take the character arc of Historia, one of my favorite characters from Attack on Titan, You can see how she started out as a person who was overly dependent on Amir and other squad members, but later became her own independent self by escaping from the influence of her father. These are positive character arcs which bring some positive change within the characters. But in a negative character arc, rather than correcting his or her flaws, the protagonist succumbs to them. If we take the character of Eren Yeager, he had many flaws during the start of the story. He was loud-mouthed and angry all the time, he looked down on others, and he depended on his own strength and ignored the strength of his teammates. He viewed people who aren't willing to fight as weaklings and went to extreme brutal measures to eradicate monsters, even if they were humans. But through his journey, he also corrected many of his flaws. While battling the female Titan, he realized rage didn't mean anything if you don't fight with your wit. And when fighting Reiner, he used this wit and listened to his teammates. In the third arc, after seeing Historia, he realized that he's not someone special and he can't be considered as a morally good character because of the actions his father had done. In his second round with Reiner, he's much more collected and calculating. He even listens to Armin on the strategy to defeat the Colossal Titan. But there's one thing he still retains, and this is shown in the last part of the third season.
向こうにいる敵全部殺せば俺たち自由になれるのか?
Eren still has the feeling of rage when he realizes that there's an entire nation planning to attack Paradis, and he also seems to be fed up from his fighting. Let's not forget that he's only got a few more years to live since every Titan holder dies after 13 years. This was surely running in the back of his head at the same time. And Eren has one quality beyond anything else: patriotism. Note how Eren says that the Titan who was crawling out from the sea was one of their comrades. He knows that the person was someone who underwent the torture by the Mali government, and in his flashback, he sees how many other Eldians were tortured the same way just because of being born into this world. Note how I quoted exactly what Eren tells Reiner before his attack. Eren's angry with the Mali because they stripped the freedom of Eldians and treated them brutally just because they were born. From the very first episode of the anime itself, we see how Eren hated slavery. He hated being one of the cattle inside the wall, and he even hated the slavery of others. When he claims he knows why Reiner had done what needs to be done, he truly understands the burden that was thrown into him when he was a child. Eren seems more vexed when he grips Emir and tells her that he'll put an end to this world as he realizes how the girl spent her entire time as a slave. In most revenge story arcs, the characters end up realizing that revenge means nothing in the end. Many other anime shows based on revenge such as Gankutsuo, Claymore, and even Code Geass teaches us that revenge is a worthless concept, and revenge breeds only more revenge. This is done by giving the characters positive character arcs and making them realize that driving after revenge is a worthless motive. But in Attack on Titan, Eren gets a negative character arc, and instead of overcoming his feelings for revenge, he accepts them and walks on a path that's morally bad. When he and Zeke visit their memories through the power of the Founder, he claims that this was the person he always was, meaning that he's accepted his feelings for revenge and will use whatever means to accomplish them. This is what makes Eren's character rather interesting. Unlike many other protagonists, he walks in the path of the villain, and I honestly believe that his end goal is to get rid of all of his enemies, just as he mentions in the final episode of the third season. This is also what diverges him from Armin. When they were inside the walls, both of them had the same dream of reaching the ocean, but now they've actually reached it, Armin's more focused on the victory of achieving his dream, while Eren only wonders how he'll attack his enemies. So to sum up my concept, I believe that Eren Yeager has changed, but the signs of his change were always there within the story. The reason why he changed was because he accepted his flaws instead of rejecting them. But there's still hope for all Yeagerists, because we don't know what sort of ending Isayama will pull, but whatever he does, we're sure Eren Yeager will stand out or go down as one of the greatest characters of all time. That's it for today, anime fans, and if you want to see more Attack on Titan or other anime content and discussions like this, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. I'll see you next time on ViniiTube.